benefits. We'll do a quick overview of employment and Social Security benefits. So first off, employment first. So employment first is integrated, inclusive, and competitive employment that will be given the highest priority for working age individuals with developmental disabilities, regardless of the severity of their disability. So what this means is that the regional centers will prioritize support for employment before attending, for example, like a day service. Our goal is to be able to provide information on different types of services that are available that could help with finding a job. And there's competitive integrated employment, which is abbreviated as CIE. So competitive integrated employment is work that is performed on a full or part-time basis, which can include self-employment. The key elements to remember of CIE is compensation. So the earnings would be at least minimum wage or higher, depending on the work performed and the experience. And the person would make the same amount of money as other employees performing the same job. Another important element of competitive integrated employment is integration. So it's working alongside employees who do not have disabilities, and also benefits. So benefits available to other workers must also be available to the employee with a disability, such as vacation, sick leave, medical and dental, and any other types of benefits. So the types of services that I'll speak about in a few minutes will be, all of their goals is to be able to help somebody reach a competitive integrated employment. So the type of work that they will obtain would be CIE. Support services for competitive integrated employment. So depending on your preference and employment goal, there are services that can help guide you with obtaining a job. So one of the more traditional models that is available is called supported employment programs, or abbreviated as SEP. And supported employment programs, they provide support with finding a competitive integrated employment. They would provide support with connecting you with Department of Rehabilitation, and helping open up a case with DOR. DOR is a large community resource that's available for anyone that has a disability, and they provide different types of resources or can help provide different types of supports that is at no cost for as long as it's related to your employment goal. So supported employment agencies can really help connect with Department of Rehabilitation. They can also help provide support for job development, such as like applying for a job, creating a resume, finding a job, or with preparing for job interviews. Supported employment programs also provide support with job coaching. So job coaching is, think of it as like a ratio of a 1-to-1 support aid. So a support person that would help with anything related to employment on the job site. Their goal is to be able to provide support with being successful on the job, building supports within the workplace, and helping overall increase the independence in the workplace by kind of connecting you with natural supports in the workplace. The coaches also help provide support with retaining of a job, so maintaining the job. There's another program that's called the Paid Internship Program. And the Paid Internship Program is also a good program. It provides an opportunity to increase vocational skills and abilities. The goals of the program are to acquire experience and skills for future paid employment, for the internship itself to lead to full or part-time paid employment in the same job. The internship shall not exceed 1,040 hours per year for each individual placed in an internship. So you can do a full year of an internship if that is what your goal is. But the maximum that can be provided within that year, it's 1,040 hours. And individuals participating in an internship shall be paid at or above minimum wage and equal to the customary wage paid by the employer for the same or the similar work performed by individuals who do not have disabilities. And the internships are predicated on the person-centered planning process. And an individual may participate in more than one paid internship if they would like, as determined through the IPP process. So the paid internship program, it's a good type of service to help explore other, like a job, maybe if you're not interested or not sure yet what type of job you would like to do. You could do like a paid internship, get paid as you're learning. And hopefully that internship, if you like it, hopefully it could become like a CIE job, or like the service provider can also provide support with finding another type of job in a different location. So it's a good way to explore jobs if you're not sure yet what type of job you would like to do. And the internships funds may be available for a variety of models, which can include self-employment enterprises, apprenticeships, and other business opportunities that can lead to a future paid employment. And we have several service providers that are currently providing support with finding and identifying paid internship program opportunities. The service providers that are providing support with this must have an approved addendum with the regional center describing the types of services and supports that they're creating to assist individuals in achieving person-centered goals of the paid internship. And the nice thing about the paid internship program is that there is no minimum or maximum hour requirement. So depending on each person's a preference, a desire, you can work maybe a few hours a week, or you can work a full-time a week, depending on what it is that you would like to do. So it's all very person-centered and very individualized, which is a nice flexibility to have to really go out there and explore different types of opportunities. Then we also have WRC tailored services. So WRC tailored services is another good service that helps with employment. It helps with navigating and connecting to resources available within the community as needed to meet the desired goals. It also...
That's all I got is a little teeny picture here.
Okay.
Thank you. It also helps with increasing opportunities to meet individualized needs to further develop independence and serve as a stepping stone towards employment within 3 different areas. The main areas that it covers is career and internship exploration, which is employment, post-secondary education, leading an integrated and inclusive life. For the purpose of community integration, the services are provided in the community rather than the person's home. But this is also a good service. For example, if somebody is interested in, let's say somebody wants to become, just as an example, somebody wants to become like a mechanic, but they need to go to a vocational trade tech school to get a certificate to do that. Or maybe somebody wants to become like a chef or a baker, but they need like a food handling certificate or another certificate related to that. A tailored service provider can provide support with connecting with those resources that are available, like in post-secondary education, vocational trade tech schools, colleges, universities. They can help provide that support and overall help achieve leading an integrated and inclusive life. They can help with like internships as well. And it's very individualized. The tailored services are typically provided between 7 to 12 hours per week, usual maximum of 20 hours weekly. And the services are scheduled based on the person's goals as it relates to their overall ISP goals. The tailored services focuses on increasing independence with the ultimate goal of fading supports once a person has met their goals. And tailored services is typically utilized as a transitional support service to facilitate with entering the workplace and their completion of the post-secondary goals. There's a neo service also that is available that helps provide support with employment. It's also it's flexible and individualized. It's called Tailored Day Services, or abbreviated as TDS. So December 1st of 2022, Department of Disability Services provided updated TDS guidance to the regional centers that were shared with our service providers to help increase consumer access to tailored day services and provide flexibility in the duration and location of the services, which can include, for example, remote electronic communications to meet each person's individualized needs. And tailored day services may be an option to continue to access services that are different from the traditional service delivery of a day program, a look-alike day program, supported employment program, or a work activity program. And through tailored day services, through TDS, you can, if desired, you could have fewer days or hours that are typical in approved program. Flexibility in the duration and intensity of the services to meet each person's individualized needs, and flexibility in location, including remote electronic communications. So for example, if there is a day service, might typically be available like Monday through Friday, but if because of your individualized preference and need or desire, you may need, maybe you want to work for or have an internship, the TDS services would be a way that you would be able to get that type of support with a one-to-one support staff. So this is a fairly new still. And community resources for employment. So Department of Rehabilitation is one of the larger employment resources that are available for employment, and they assist people with disabilities with obtaining and retaining employment and maximizing their ability to live independently. Vocational rehabilitation teams work closely with job seekers to establish a combination of services and resources necessary to prepare, find, retain, and advance in employment. So they're also a very good resource that is available, and it's free in the community, and they can provide lots of good resources related to a job. The American Job Center of California, or the AJCCs, often referred to as the one-stop centers, it's also another good resource that focuses on employment. It's available, it's also at no cost, available in the community. It offers a variety of different services, and it also at times brings employers. So they'll have hiring events, maybe have resume building workshops, internships. It's free of cost as well. And to find an American Job Center, we can also provide you with the link here that you will go to the one that's closest to your home. So requesting employment services and creating employment goals. To request, if interested in employment and finding a job, you would want to request this during your IPP meeting to inform your planning team. Or if your IPP meeting has passed, you can reach out to your service coordinator to notify of the interest in employment and the types of supports, and they can go over the types of supports that are available to help you reach your employment goal. You would want to create an employment goal that's included in your IPP. And then some of the things that are helpful to consider when thinking about employment or planning for the future are considering short-term and long-term goals, considering if you would need to receive any further post-secondary education to reach your employment goal, or based on your goals, your service coordinator will provide information on the types of employment services available and employment service providers that are available to provide the support as needed to be able to help provide support to reach the employment goal that you may have. So, so this is so thank you. This is just a general overview of the types of supports that can be explored or be available. But there's different types of specific programs that can also be available. And for that, you would want to reach out to your service coordinator to be able to go over any specific questions that you may have about those. But we wanted to provide an idea of the types of services that are available. And so any questions before we move on to the next part of our presentation?
I did have one question, Liddy. Thank you for that information. I don't know if, well, my question is, I have received a request for support from one of my clients, specifically around support for get certified as a Spanish translator. And also another request for support with developing like a personal business or a small enterprise, something like that. So I was just wondering, out of those supports that were discussed there, what would be the best support to explore for those types of requests there?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Nelson. I think for like a micro enterprise or more individualized type of support may be needed. So that maybe a good resource could be like a tailored services provider or tailored day services. And they could help create like a plan for the person. And then based on the plan, they could help identify different types of resources that can be available to provide that support. Because it has the flexibility to go into the community and focus on other items other than employment, like connecting with resources, post-secondary education, if anything such as that would be needed. So that may be a good resource for that. But if you like, we can also discuss further about it, the video person, if you'd like.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and a great question. Thanks, Nelson.
Hi, Liddy. We had a couple of other questions in the chat. One question I think I can answer. Jennifer indicated that she would like a copy. I believe it is of the PowerPoint presentations. I will be forwarding a copy of the PowerPoint presentations after the meeting. I will forward those to the email that you use to register. So whatever email I have that you use to register, that's where the PowerPoints will go. The next question is from Deanna. It is, are there any job programs that work in conjunction with students that are at CTC schools?
At CTC's, the Career Transition Centers, I'm not aware of specific programs currently with the CTC schools, but I am aware of a program that is part of College to Career. Once you've exited high school or school, there is a program that is called College to Career. With Westside, there is one that's located at West LA City College. And that's in partnership with Department of Rehabilitation, the Regional Center. And for that, the way that the Regional Center is able to provide support is via tailored services, via individualized support, if that is identified as a support that's needed to be able to navigate that.
And Liddy, I got a private question here. In the first part of the meeting, you discussed something about employment for 16 to 24-year-olds, but the individual did not see the screen. She's asking, where do they apply? And could you maybe shed some light on that?
Yeah, of course. I think it's might be referring to the paid internship program, maybe. Let's
I
see.
am not sure.
For, the paid internship program would be one of the services that can be available. But you would have to be 18 and over. So if you're still in school, this could be a program that can be explored for like an internship as you're preparing for employment after you graduate. But you would have to be at least 18 and over for that program.
Next question that we received is, can you give a few examples of paid intern programs? Are there certain corporate companies which are open to internships?
It's a great question as well. So for the paid internship programs, the nice thing about them is that they would be tend to be very individualized. So once a referral is made to an agency, then that agency that's providing the support with the development of the internship, they would identify like the interests of the person. So they would base it based on the person's goals. So for example, trying to think of an example, like for example, I know of a person that was very interested in music, and they're currently at Santa Monica Community College, and they were interning with a music professor at Santa Monica Community College because that was something that was related to their specific employment goal. So every internship would be developed based on the person's interest. We typically don't have, for example, internships that are readily available with like companies or employers. It's more of they're developed as as the person's interest is needed. Does that help?
You know, Lydia, the next question, we've got several questions that have come in. One that I would like to address, I'm getting several private messages, is that, yes, I will send a copy of the PowerPoint to every email address that was registered. So no need to put that in the chat. I will send it to all email addresses registered. The next question for you would be, who does DOR service?
Who does DOR services? So that is Department of Rehabilitation. So that's funded with the state of California. And anyone that has a disability after the age, even if your disability is after the age of 18, they're able to provide support related to employment. So they have like a counselor, a rehabilitation counselor that helps plan an employment plan with you. And then they identify the resources that can be provided based on your employment goal.
And the next question, are there trade schools that have access for students with developmental disabilities? Things like carpentry, plumbing, electrical, etc.
Yeah, so the expectation is that all the trade schools that would be like the typical trade schools that are available, and that's where our service providers that are, for example, providing support via tailored services, that's where they would provide the support with identifying a school. The goal is to not be separate from the rest of the community. It would be something that's integrated with the typical community at the trade schools that are currently available within the community. If additional support were to be needed, then that's where the one-to-one support staff would be able to assist with attending the school, connecting with the teachers or the professors, connecting with resources available that would help the students succeed at the trade tech school.
Thank you, Liddy. The next question is, how long does the process take to develop an intern program?
A great question. It really depends on the goal and the availability. So it's very individualized, depending on what the flexibility of what the goal is and the interest. So it could vary. Some take place really quick, like maybe within a month or two, but others might take a little bit longer, depending on the person's individualized goals and depending on how soon we can find something that's available that meets the goals. I always suggest to plan ahead of time if possible, especially if you are in school right now, to start thinking ahead and start planning, because it can take some time depending on what the goal is and what's available in the community. I want to make sure to give time for Matt's presentation. So all great questions. Maybe we can hold off until Matt does his presentation because he has a lot of great information on Social Security that we would want to share with you. Would that be okay?
I'm okay either way. If you want to finish up the questions or hold it off to the end, I think
we
I'm
have
okay.
we have about 3 more questions. Some of them I think will probably be addressed in Matt's presentation. So the questions that about SSI, Matt, I'm going to hold those off. If it's okay, Liddy, I'll ask the 2 questions that are more directed at you specifically.
Okay.
So how long does the process take to develop an intern program? I think I asked that one right. If a child is still in Career Transition Center school, should he register with DOR now or after graduation?
That's a great question too. You can register with DOR now if the child is in the transition school currently, because that would mean there will be over the age of 18. So DOR can also be, my understanding is that DOR can also be invited to like the IEP meetings. So I would encourage you to also invite DOR to the IEP meetings, and you can invite your regional center counselor as well, because then they would be able to help guide and provide resources as the students exiting school as they're preparing for the future. That would be a suggestion, to be able to include them in those meetings as well, if that's something that you're interested in doing and pursuing.
And I think the last question, Liddy, is DOR is only for disabilities ? Someone had told me that it's also for those with depression or anxiety.
So my interest with DOR is that may also be considered a disability as well. So my understanding of DOR is that if a disability occurred after the age of 18, for example, then that could be a potential support that could be available for you. So it's various. So for example, the regional center, we provide support services for people that have a developmental disability, which tends to occur prior to the age of 18. And Department of Rehabilitation provides like a broader, they're able to provide a broader support for people that, for example, not only qualify for regional center services. So that could also be something that they can provide support with. Does that help?
And I think that's all the questions that were directed specifically at you. There was one question I think that will be addressed during Matt's presentation, and that was, do paid internships affect SSI?
Did I ask a question? Or could I talk about what she was talking about?
Yeah, yes, please feel free to.
So my question on that was, because let me turn this off. I have contacted DOR previously for like another individual who had mental health issues. They were not very helpful. And it's almost like you have to know really what you want out of them, which I don't even know what they provide. So unless you know exactly what you want, they won't give you that information. I was also told by another regional center parent that the regional center has a specific counselor for, I guess, clients of the regional center. I assumed she was in the same area, so I asked her who her person was, you know, just trying to make things easier, basically. She just said, just contact the regional center. My service coordinator is never helpful with anything. So she said, just reach out to your service coordinator. I've told many people this. My service coordinator doesn't do anything. So my service coordinator had no clue what I was talking about. I just said DOR. She gave me 2 different DORs to contact, but no specific person. Is there a specific person just that would make the process easier?
So there isn't a specific person, but if you'd like, I can put my email in the chat, and if you like, you can connect with me, and I'm happy to help. I can.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry that that was your experience, but I'll put my email here. You can feel free to connect with me, and I'm happy to connect with you, and we can discuss further.
And Lydia, I think there are no more questions for you.
I actually have one more question if there's time for me. Is there? I just wanted to ask for our individuals who are of those transition ages between coming out of high school, whether it is after 18 or after 22 years of age, that are very interested in attending college or university. Usually we recommend exploring tailored services, but is there another alternative support through our regional center that we can maybe explore for those individuals? Because I do understand that most of our tailored service providers are quite impacted right now.
That's a great question, Nelson. From my understanding, the tailored services providers would be one of like the best options that have the experience with supporting individuals. But there's also different agencies that may be able to provide support. Like I understand, but I don't want to misspeak, but I understand that some, for example, like maybe ILS or SLS can help explore temporarily. But if you like, I can find out more information on that as well to share with you.
Okay, thank you, Liddy.
But yeah, great question, Nelson. Okay, so I think we're ready. Thank you, everyone. Great questions. I want to introduce Matt Olivio. He is a disability clients' right advocate and works with OKRA. And so I want to thank him for being here and sharing valuable information with us about Social Security and working. So I will give the mic to him. Thank you.
Great, thanks Lydia, and thanks everyone for being here. It's good to see you all, see some familiar names and faces, so I'm glad you're here. I wanted to wish you a happy Disability Employment Awareness Month. That's this month, so hopefully this information is helpful for you, for those who are working or maybe want to work, maybe have some questions, scared to start working, and what happens with my benefits, all of those. Definitely valid questions. I think the plan for today would be just to give you a brief overview of kind of the general things to look out for regarding Social Security benefits and working, kind of give you an idea of what to look out for and kind of put on your radar or whatever you want to call it, just to be aware of, so that you know what to expect. No surprises, I think is what we're hoping to do. So I think I'll just start off a little bit talking about our office, just giving an introduction on that, and then we can get into kind of the topic at hand today. So like Liddy said, I am Matt Alivio. I work for the Office of Clients' Rights Advocacy. We are a part of Disability Rights California. So Disability Rights California is a big organization. We are the protection and advocacy agency for the state of California for people who have disabilities. So we have lots of different departments and units and type of work that we do. It can range from kind of direct legal advocacy to policy work in creating laws or directly supporting kind of clients navigate these kind of programs and difficulties they might face kind of with government benefits, things like that. And so my specific unit is the Office of Clients' Rights Advocacy, can be shortened as OCRA. That's us. So we are a part of Disability Rights California. We serve regional center clients. So in each regional center, we have a client's rights advocate like myself and an assistant client's rights advocate. We also have kind of statewide support who can cover if offices are busy or just cover if people are out. So we have a lot of support. So I think the thing to know is like, no matter whatever regional center you are, you do have someone who you can contact if you need help. So like I said, we do help regional center clients with their legal issues. We do not charge for our services, it's free. You do have to be a regional center client, or we can also help those who want to become regional center clients. So please feel free to contact us or share our information with anyone you know if you think they would need help. We try to help kind of as many people as we can. There's some areas of law where we don't cover, but we will try to kind of direct you to the right place or answer what we can about it. And yeah, so I think that's just a little bit about our office. I'll put our contact information at the end of the presentation. And I'm sure we can share that to you by then. And yeah, so like we've been going, I think we'll probably hold off questions until the end, but if you think of something and don't want to forget it, feel free to put it in the chat. And just so that we make sure we have enough time to cover everything. And yeah, so we can go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen, make sure it's the right one. Before, oh, can you see this? Maybe a thumbs up if you can. Okay, good. I saw one thumbs up. That is good. Let me just make sure I can adjust my view so that I can make sure I see the interpreter in case I'm going too fast or too slow. And if anyone else needs me to slow down, I'm happy to do so. Just put in the chat, raise your hand, something like that. But I think we are all set. So
we can see your notes. I don't know if you intended that or not.
let me just hit play and that should probably make it go away. How's that?
Nope, we can still see your notes.
Okay. Maybe let me try a different screen. Sorry, bear with me, please.
Matt, you might want to go into presentation mode. If you go into presentation mode, you would only see the notes because I had that problem before.
Okay. I appreciate that, Cynthia. Presentation mode. Okay, let's try that. I just don't want this to all go away. I'm sorry, everyone.
Because if you share your screen, then we will be able to see your notes, but you have to go into like presenter or something like that. And then it will only let you see your notes and then we'll see what you want us to see.
Yeah, usually. How is that? Perfect.
Set up now.
That works.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know it's multiple screens. It gives me problems, I'm sure. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I'm sure it's happened. I appreciate the help.
You're not the only one.
No, that
Thank
happens to me
you.
too, Matt.
That's right.
All right, so let's just get into it then. And yeah, thanks again for the help. So yeah, just briefly, I think what we're going to focus on is just kind of give you a little overview of what Social Security benefits are available for people with disabilities. What we'll talk about today is hopefully I don't bombard you with too many acronyms or anything like that, but in this line of work, there's a ton. So a lot of times you'll see Social Security abbreviated as SSA, and then we hear about SSDI, that's Social Security Disability Insurance. And the other program is SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income. And so for a lot of people with disabilities, those are programs that they'll be able to get kind of cash benefits from, and along with that comes kind of medical coverage. So the whole eligibility process is can be its own presentation. So we're just gonna do a quick overview, kind of just picturing as if you do have these benefits and you want to work, or you're curious what happens to your benefit when you do work. So just a little bit more about both of these. Both programs use the same definition of disability in finding somebody eligible. So their definition is disability is the inability to engage in any substantial gainful activity, SGA, another one of those acronyms that we will get into today, because of a medically determinable physical or mental impairment. So that's the first thing. And this type of impairment is one that is severe, that it could be resulting in death, or that has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. So that just means more than 1 year. But this is a language they use. And for our clients, for regional center clients, I think to be eligible for regional center, kind of it's like a lifelong disability that happened in developmental stage. So those types of disabilities do not just end, right? These are kind of lifelong disabilities that people deal with. So for a lot of our clients, it's you're eligible kind of because you're a regional center, because it's kind of the same. So yeah, so we'll start off with SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And we'll try to keep moving through this fairly quick, just so that you're aware kind of where does SSDI money come from. So, and what is SSDI? So it's these are benefits for disabled or blind workers who are quote unquote insured by workers' contributions to the Social Security Trust Fund. What that means is you've contributed to what FICA, the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, essentially means you paid Social Security tax. This is one of the things that comes out of people's paycheck every month or every time they're paid. But we don't need to get into too much detail about it. If you do have questions, you can always feel free to contact us, and I'll be sharing some resources about it either. But I think this is just to give some background information and kind of show you how the definitions that come from Social Security kind of like it. I don't know. It's insured by the Social Security Trust Fund. I mean, insured kind of sounds complicated. It just means you pay taxes. So I just wanted to bring that to light. And so who might be entitled to these benefits? So it's either you're an individual, someone who's working with a disability. There's also, you can get SSDI benefits if from your spouse, or like if you're a widow or a widower with a disability, or if you are an adult with a disability. That's one way you can get kind of your parents' benefit. And yeah, just a little bit about eligibility for SSDI, just to make you all aware. So the worker must have worked and paid Social Security taxes for enough years to be covered under Social Security insurance. And some of the taxes must have been paid in the recent years. So that's the first thing. And then here are some other things that you have to do. So it's either you're the worker, or you're the worker's widower, or the worker's adult child. A lot of times that comes up as called a disabled adult child, or DAC, is what a lot of people hear it as. And then it's not automatic. You do have to apply. You do have to meet that definition of being medically disabled, which we did go over in the previous slide. And you must not be working, or if you are working, you must not be performing substantial gainful activity. And we will definitely get into more about what substantial gainful activity, SGA, means a little bit later in our presentation. But yeah, those are the kind of the brief overview of how to be eligible for SSDI. I'll leave it on the screen just a little bit longer if you want to take a look, and then we'll move on to the next slide. So,
are you going to be presenting a presentation after this? Are we going to get a copy of this?
yes, we will be sharing it.
Okay.
So no
Thank
need
you.
to memorize everything.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And so just a little bit more about the requirements for a disabled adult child. This may come up for some of the regional center clients we serve. It may be one way you as a client do get benefits. To be considered a disabled adult child, you must be 18 or older, not be married, and the disability must have begun before the age of 22. So when we're talking about developmental disabilities, these are those start before 18. So this is one way to get DAC. Like I said, we may not be getting too much into the eligibility requirements, but just wanted to, in case you didn't know or hadn't heard about this program, this is something you could look into. And there's a lot of information online about it. And I can also, we have some materials to share at the end. And then moving on. So one of the big benefits you do get if you are eligible for SSDI is you get Medicare coverage. So that's healthcare coverage. So there's hospital healthcare, there's healthcare outside of the hospital. There's lots of different kinds, but you do become eligible for Medicare, which is the federal program that provides healthcare services to those who need it. There is a waiting period before the coverage start. So once you're eligible for SSDI, it does take 24 months, 2 years of getting those benefits before you are entitled to this Medicare. There are some exceptions to the waiting period. One of the big ones is if you have some sort of severe kidney disease, which you get dialysis or need a transplant. Sometimes that allows you to get Medicare automatically. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. Just wanted to let you know. All right, so moving on to kind of why we're here today, and just a focus on SSDI. So what happens if you're on SSS or SSDI because you have a disability and you work? We want to talk about work incentives. So I think for a lot of people, and from our experience, we hear like, that people are scared to start working because they don't want to lose their benefits. We hear that like, oh, there's no point to work. I don't want to lose it. Like it's hard to, I mean, especially in our area, right? I mean, it's the cost of living is so high. So it's definitely kind of a scary thought and a valid concern. But the important thing to know is that there are various work incentives which can help you keep your Social Security benefits and still allow you to work. I think the big picture thing that I want to emphasize is you can do both, and if that's something you want, I encourage you to do both. So just a little bit, kind of this is the big one for SSDI. It's a trial work period. So let's say, oh, you have SSDI and you're thinking about wanting to work. This is this trial work period it's a way where you can kind of see how work goes, if you're able to do it, if you like it, and just kind of really test your ability to work. So during this period, you get your full SSI benefits regardless of how high your earnings are, as long as you have a disability. So I know I keep referring to this substantial gainful activity. That's kind of one way, the way that Social Security measures if you're able to work. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't mean to kind of mix up all the topics, but so this trial work period, right? You have they're in a 5-year period. So a lot of times they talk about 60 months or count things in months. So it's 60 months, which is that's how much time you have to try to test your ability to work for 9 months. So as you can see here, there's some amounts. So anytime you work during this trial period and you make more than this $1,050 for 2023, that's this year, that counts as one trial work period. And then you have 9 months of that to try to test your ability to work. So as long as you're working up to that 9 trial work periods, you do get your full SSDI benefits. And it doesn't have to be 9 months in a row. Like that's what it says, not necessarily consecutive. That means you have, if one month you're not able to work as much, or you had to take some time off and you're under this 1,050, that's okay. It doesn't mean you start over or stop or anything like that. It's just, it doesn't count for that month. But like I said, you still have 60 months to get 9 of these trial work periods. And so in 2022, you can see the amount was lower. So it was 970 before, and now this year is 1,050. And I think we should be on the lookout for kind of updated numbers today. I think there was an announcement from Social Security earlier this morning about kind of increases to the programs. I have not had a chance to review fully yet, but something to look out for. I think things are being updated for next year soon. So just kind of, here's kind of a chart that kind of shows you things don't need to be consecutive, right? So let's say, right, we said the trial work period amount for 2023 is $1,050. So as you can see, for January through July, like if you're working and you did not make up to that, it doesn't count as one of the 9 trial work periods. But you can see in August, you made $1,300, $1,300. That counts as one. And then let's say in September, you were only able to work kind of half the amount and you only made 600 that month. It doesn't count as a trial work period, but it doesn't mean it's over and you have to start over. Once you start making over that $1,050, it counts as the second trial work period. And then you can see in November, if you make the same, you make over that 1,050, it's a third and a fourth, and so on until you get to 9. And you have 60 months to get to 9. We'll leave that there for a sec. I hope it makes sense, and hopefully you can review later if it doesn't, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So then you might think, okay, what happens after I get 9? Do your benefits just stop? No, that's not the case. They continue, and there's something called the extended period of eligibility. So this is a 3-year period, which starts right after the 9th trial work period. And during this time, your benefits continue for all months where your work activities are below the substantial gainful activity. And just one more slide of suspense, we'll talk about SGA, substantial gainful activity, next slide. But the important thing is, as long as you're working under that limit, your benefits will continue. And if you do go over, it's not the end of the world, so to speak. Your benefits would stop for the month that you go over, but once it goes back down, if it does go back down, your benefits will continue during this extended period of eligibility, and you do not need to reapply. So maybe I'll try to explain it. Let's just say you start this extended period of eligibility, you're only making $1,000 for like the first couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months, and then you get a little raise after that, and that puts you kind of above the amount for substantial gainful activity. And you know what, just to make it make sense, let me just skip forward. The amounts for substantial gainful activity for this year is 1,470. So if you make over that, then that's when your cash benefits would stop. But if you make less than that on the next month, then your benefits will continue, and it'll restart automatically. So that's kind of the main advantage of this extended period of eligibility. It's kind of, it's still a way for you to kind of see how you're able to work, and it's for 3 years. So I hope that this kind of encourage you to, if you want to work, to kind of try, and then see if you're able to, if you like it, and not to be scared if you get a raise or anything. But just know that this extended period of eligibility, which is a 3-year period right after the 9th trial work period, this is the chance for you to kind of, where it's okay if you go over SGA some months and go back down, where things kind of go up and down while you're trying to figure out what works best for you in your employment. Yeah. And so here we are. So substantial gainful activity. I know we gave a little preview of it earlier, but what it means, this is the definition from Social Security and what they use. Just wanted to make you aware. So that is SGA, substantial gainful activity, is work activity that is both substantial and gainful. So it might sound self-explanatory and might not give you kind of an idea of what that means, but substantial work, which is one of the components, that's any work activity that involves doing significant physical or mental activities. So it's just some sort of work where you're using your butt, like you're being, you need to do some sort of labor, or maybe some sort of kind of more thinking type of job. So I think for a lot of the jobs people get, this part's it's not a problem or anything to worry about. And gainful work is any work activity that you do pay or profit. But the thing to know is that work activity is gainful if it's the kind of work that somebody could usually get paid for. So even if you don't get paid or make a profit, it can still be considered gainful work, as long as it's something that that somebody in the community could get paid for. This kind of just extra background information, just so you kind of know where Social Security is coming from. But I think, like we touched on earlier, the important part is to consider these amounts. So for our year 2023, if you make over 1,470. This is for someone with a disability who is not blind. If you make over $1,470 dollars per month, then you'd be considered over SGA, and that's when benefits would stop. So as long as you're under that, you're okay. If your disability is blindness, that amount goes up a little bit to 2,460. And I just included the amounts from last year, just so you can see. Things tend to trend up as I'm sure we're all aware, things get expensive, work is harder to find, all kinds of things. Maybe, so yeah, just wanted to put that out there. So for this slide, just for our year, the rest of our year, substantial gainful activity amount, 1,470. Just kind of keep that in your head.
Matt, I hate to interrupt, but we've had several questions that have come in.
Okay.
I'm starting to lose track of them all.
Okay.
Did you want to take questions now, or did you want folks to hold them till the end?
We can take some now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not able to see the chat, so you may need to read them off.
I can read them. And I do apologize if I miss someone's question. If I do miss it, go ahead and save it for the end. So the first question I have is hiring a person based on lived experience or gaining entry based on that experience, such as community health worker? I'm not quite sure that I understand the whole question. Cynthia, you might want to unmute and ask.
Yes, hi, thank you. I just wanted to ask a question. Based on the experience that that person might have that they lived through, would it be like, you know, an advantage if they, you know, worked as a community worker? They did like community field work.
Yeah,
you know, live that, and they pretty much know a lot about it, and they can help someone else.
Yeah, I'd say yes. I mean, in terms of how that would affect kind of the benefits, I think it still depends on if how much they get paid. But I think hiring someone, I think that's the best kind of person to work for the community, you know, right? Someone who has had lived experience, who knows kind of, it's one thing to know kind of the high level, but to be actually living it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say yes. Yeah.
The next question we had is, what's the definition of recent years? In some of the taxes must have been paid. I think there was a follow-up to this.
Yeah, so that is I can show you I'll send a link to Social Security's page at the end, which kind of goes into that. I didn't want to get too much into the that details, but I will send a link where you can find that information.
And the next question was, so people who have SSI need to apply for SSDI?
Yes, you can have both. So it's the same disability criteria, but you would need to apply for both.
I think the next question was referred to a specific slide. Is that 970 1050 of income for a whole 9 months?
No, that's yes, that's a great question. That's for 1 month. So any month you work and you make more than 1050, that will count as one trial work period.
Okay. The next question you just
Hi,
answered.
Stephen, sorry, but you skipped my question in particular, and it's a really short one for him to answer.
Okay.
Does TWP also work the same way when you have SSI?
No, so this is only in SSDI, and we'll talk about SSI after this too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question that I see is, does it impact your medical benefits?
Which one? The trial work period, or I don't know, maybe if the person could.
Yeah, hi. Both the trial and the extended, would it impact your medical benefits? Like if someone receives medical or health?
Yeah, so for the trial work period, no, you get all of your benefits depending on in that period, in the TWP. And then I think that, and in terms of the extended period of benefits, yes, you would keep your benefits too. I think we'll touch on that towards the end. There's another slide on kind of what happens if you go over or that. So we'll touch on that. I'll note it down in case I don't get to it, but I will be sure to make sure we cover what happens with medical benefits.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And do you know if people who receive SSDI or SSI and work but do not reach or exceed SGA limits still get their full benefit, or does the benefit get decreased, adjusted based on the income amount?
So your SSDI benefits will stay the same, but as we'll talk about SSI, the benefit amount you get in SSI will depend on how much you make. So we're going to walk through kind of how Social Security does your calculations, specifically for SSI. So we're getting into it. These are great questions.
And the next question is, am I correct in understanding that SSDI penalizes people who get married and they lose their benefits? What if both people who are married are disabled? It takes two incomes to survive these days.
Would it be penalizing? Maybe if you could explain more what it means to be penalized, I guess.
Yeah, if you wanted to go ahead and.
In one of your slides, it seemed like it was saying that if you get married, that you lose your Social Security.
I see that. I think what you're referring to is the DAC benefit slide. So you must be not married. Typically your benefits would end, but you could still be eligible under SSDI in other ways. So
wait, so you're saying that they would lose their benefits if they get married?
If they're eligible only through this one specific program.
So in that regard, I also have a question. Sorry. So if someone gets married, a disabled person gets married to an individual, does it depend on the spouse's income, or automatically the disabled person will lose her or his benefits?
I will need to double check that for you. I don't want to give wrong information on this. But
yeah, because that seems discriminatory.
I hear you.
So that was the last question that I had in the chat that I caught. All questions are valid and important. If I did miss one, I have gotten several questions that are in the open room and directly to me. So I may have missed some. If I did, go ahead and pose that question and Matt will answer at the end.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And thank you everyone for your questions. Okay. And so I think we were talking about SGA and the extended period of eligibility. Like what happens if you make over SGA? So just so you're aware of the terminology, the first month you go over SGA, that should be over in the slide. That's called the cessation month. So if you hear that, that means you were over SGA for that month. But that doesn't mean your benefits stop right away. You still get your benefits for that month that you went over and the following 2 months after. So you have 3 months of benefits, which is what they call a grace period, even if you do go over SGA. And then once you go back down or if you do go back down under SGA, then you still get that. Then your benefits would start again, like what we talked about. And so here are some, it's called what facts does Social Security consider to make an SGA decision. These next couple slides are ways to kind of reduce what Social Security counts as your income, and so pretty much ways you can stay under SGA while still working. I think this is kind of, it's not like there's these max limits. There's ways to deduct kind of what Social Security counts as income to get you under that SGA limit. So one of the kind of the more common ones that I've seen in my time here working is impairment related work expenses. Acronym is IRWE. I think people call it, if you say IRWE, Social Security will know what you're saying. And what these are expenses for things you need because of your impairment in order to work. And these things may be deducted in counting your income, in trying to, so essentially you can deduct what you make um, if you pay for certain things that you need to help you work because of your disability. That makes sense. We'll do some calculations on it later too, and hopefully you can get a clear picture of what this means. So some common examples of these impairment-related work expenses is if you have attendant care services, maybe someone with you, kind of medications or medical services, transportation, even if you had to maybe modify your car because of a disability, that's one way. It could be counted as an IRWE. If you use a service animal like a guide dog, kind of the expenses that go along with having a guide dog, that can be deducted from the amount. Other things like braces, inhalers, pacemaker, wheelchair, kind of I think it's pretty much anything you purchase yourself that you need in order to do work due to your disability. So how this works, let's give an example. Let's say your monthly income from work is $1,500. So that's you're right over the SGA amount for a disabled but not blind person. So without any of these IRWEs, you would be over SGA and not eligible for your benefits for that month, right? But let's say you need specialized transportation to get to work, and you need to take medications during your shift able to work, and kind of that evens out to maybe $200 per month. So that can be deducted from your wages, your income, or that what Social Security is counting. So it costs you $200 in these work-related expenses due to your disability. So they'll only count $1,300 because you're paying this $200. So and then that would put you below SGA. So that's so if you do need any kind of accommodations, things like that, that's something to kind of just keep in mind. Maybe write it down, maybe keep a list of the things you've done and you need, and that could be one way to help you maintain your benefit while you're working. Another way is it's what's referred to as subsidy and special conditions. So subsidies are kind of when your employer provides some sort of accommodation or extra supervision or support, maybe some sort of special assistance because of your disability. Like if maybe your job task changes, or if you have maybe more a supervisor who works more closely with you. Those are examples of subsidies. And there's also special conditions, which is it's kind of the same thing, but it's not from the employer. It's somebody else. Like if you get a job coach or just something outside of what your employer provides. So these are also ways to kind of adjust the value that Social Security is counting your income. So in terms of subsidy, one way we've seen it is, and we've helped clients fill out or have their employer fill out what's called a work activity questionnaire. So this is a common example of a subsidy. And like I said, it would reduce kind of the wages Social Security counts. There's a form. All of these forms are online, and it kind of asks your supervisor about if you get any accommodations, like do you have modified tasks, or do you have kind of does your employer expect you to maybe get a little bit a different amount of productivity, like work done compared to somebody without a disability. Yeah, and you can look this up. I'll have links to all these in the later on. But it's one way to kind of get your wages down under the SGA level. So for an example, like on this form, there's kind of check boxes that say like, oh, compared to somebody without a disability, does the person with a disability do they do like 60% of the work compared to somebody, or 70? And so we understand that it's kind of hard for employers to kind of say this. They don't want to like be mean or look like they're discriminating, and I know they're supporting, but we just ask, or have the client ask to that their employer kind of fill out this form, see if it would be helpful to get somebody under SGA. So it's like if you make $1,500 in wages, but you do equivalent work of like 50% productivity compared to somebody else who works, like then only half of your wages would be counted. That's one way it works. So it's just something we don't. It's an option for you to try to get under SGA. I hope that made sense. We can talk about it more after, of course. And I think this question came up earlier. What happens to Medicare if you go over SGA? So I think the key thing is, if cash benefits continue, if you're still getting your check, Medicare eligibility does continue. But if they pause, like if you go over SGA for a little bit, they still continue for up to 93 months. So that's a lot of months. I like how they give it to us in months, as if we can kind of conceptualize that, but that's almost 8 years of eligibility. And then, yeah, if cash benefits terminate, like you've been working well over SGA and you really can't get under there, then you can still have eligibility for 78 months after termination. So yeah, just gonna keep plugging along, and so hopefully we have some more time for questions at the end and talk about kind of supplemental security, the other benefit that a lot of people with disabilities can get, and how it would impact your work. So just a brief overview again, kind of like what we did last time, just for background information. So this is a program that allows you to get a benefit amount depending on if you're age or if you're disabled. And the key thing that differentiates this, it's for people who have limited income and resources. So for SSDI, that's kind of, or SSI, I'm sorry. So for SSI, the thing to remember is there are income and resource limitations to this, to eligibility. And so, like we said, the amounts in 2022, the total amount of the benefit amount was $1,040.21. And then this year, 2023, is $1,133.73. And then, as you can see, the federal government pays some, and then the state of California pays some. So what the federal government pays, you can see here, is $841, and then California will add.
The petition for dismissal and the petition for the reduction. Okay, did you get something in the mail? Yes.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, so, and then if your disability is blind, you do get a little bit more in the max, and these are the max benefits that you can get. And I think we did mention before, the amount you do get depends on how much income you do get per month. And similarly to SSDI, you do get healthcare coverage, but this time for SSDI, you get Medi-Cal. In other states, it's called Medicaid, but here in California, it's called Medi-Cal. So that's one of the benefits you get as well. So SSDI, you get Medicare and SSI, it's Medi-Cal. Let's go to kind of, we're going to just go through kind of the calculations on how SSI counts your income and calculates the benefit amount. So for just the first thing, so they don't count all of your income, which is I think it's a good thing. It's the long story short, they only count about half of your income um, when they do this math. So one of the first things they do is they subtract $20, which is as a general income exclusion. That's what's called the unearned income exclusion. So unearned income is income that you're not working for. So it's like it's if you're being paid because you're working, that's earned income. But let's say you get SSDI, a check every month, that would be considered unearned income. So in the SSI program, they would deduct $20 from what they count as your income. So I think this will make more sense later on, but we do have some charts and kind of, there's going to be math. I hope you guys like math. I don't know if that's my strong suit, but we'll go through it. So there's an unearned income exclusion, and then there's an earned income exclusion. So like I said, Social Security does not count most of your earned income when they figure your amount. So what this means is that they also subtract $65 from what you earn as wages. And then they cut that in half. And then what that amount is your total income amount that Social Security considers. I know that was kind of messy. I think it'll make more sense on this next slide. So let's say this is somebody who just wants to get SSI. So you're working and you make $1,300 per month. So there's that general income exclusion. So I know I said it was for unearned, but it also, if you don't have any unearned income, it will also count here. So Social Security would say, okay, hey, this person makes $1,300. Let's subtract $20 from this general income exclusion. And then so you're left with $1,280. And then there's that other earned income exclusion of $65. So for any earned income, they subtract $65 from what they count. So the math on that. So then you're left with $1,215 of income after these exclusions. This is income that Social Security is counting and would reduce your benefits. So, but like I said, they don't count all of this. They divide this number in half. So that comes out to $607.50 in countable earned income. So you might say, okay, what does that mean with this $600? So this is how your benefit amount is calculated. So like we talked about in 2023, the base rate for SSI, base rate, this is the maximum benefit amount that you can get. That's with the federal and the state supplement. So it's $1,033.73. You have that number, and then your benefit amount is reduced by the countable income amount. That's 607.5, about half the wages you get, more or less, with the math. So then your SSI payment would come out to $526.23 for that month. So I think the key point is this: you shouldn't be afraid to work if you do get SSI, because if you didn't get Social Security or SSI, you'd only be making $1,300 per month. But there's this other, if you do get SSI and you're eligible, there's another kind of $500 available to you. So without SSI, 1,300 with it, it's closer to 1,800. So I think that's kind of, I think it's important. I mean, it's even with that amount, that's kind of tough to get by here. So I think any little thing helps. I hope that math made sense. I'll leave it on here for a little bit, just to, for you to get a sense. And then we do have some other calculations we'll do. But this is in general how your SSI benefit amount is calculated when you do work. So just remember that they don't count kind of all of your income. It's half of your income minus a total of $85, 20 from the general income exclusion and 65 from the earned income exclusion. All right. So like SSDI, there's some other work incentives in the SSI program, and some of these do apply to both. But I know there was a question about an internship. So one thing you might want to look up is what's called the Student Earned Income Exclusion, SEIE. So that's for a recipient of SSI who is attending school and working part-time. So attending school means kind of, if they're in college, it's at least 8 hours a week. If it's a semester or quarter system. There's other requirements if it's kind of in high school, but I think most of our clients here would be adults, at least here. So if you're working, this allows you to kind of deduct some income while you're in school. So what happens is if you're in this program, if you're a student who works, you can have up to $8,950 of income for the year, not counted as income. So you'd be able to kind of keep your main SSI benefit with that. So let's say, for example, you earn you're a student, you earn $2,200 a month, and then you go back to school. So you can use that $2,200 a month. You can exclude that from your earnings during the month. So like how we had it back here, where there's the general income exclusion and the earned income exclusion, you'd be also able to deduct more than that. So kind of the more things you can deduct from SSA counting, kind of the larger your benefit amount is. And we'll go into an example of that, which later on. But I think that touches on the internship question. This is something you should I'd encourage you to look up. We can talk about this more in detail later too, but just want to be mindful of getting through the material for now. Another work incentive is what's called the PASS program, the Plan to Achieve Self-Sufficiency. This is a way where you can kind of set a work-related goal, like it's a program where it's another way Social Security will not count kind of all of your income. It's like you said, oh, I have this goal, like I want to take this class because it'll help me with working. And then the cost of that class can be deducted from kind of your countable income. It's a way to help. And then like we talked about Social Security or SSDI, the IRWIs, that also applies here. And there's also some other things with blind work expenses. So yeah, let's do the SSI math again with, let's say you get some sort of work incentive. So again, you're making $1,300 and we just shortcutted the math. So this is the $20 and the $65 that is deducted. So Social Security is going to say, hey, you make $1,300, we don't count 85 of that. And you're left with there. And then let's say you have $100 of IRWEs, like some sort of impairment related work expense, like what we talked about, transportation, costs, medications, things like that, things that you pay for to help you work. So if that's $100, Social Security would also not count, they would deduct that from your countable income. So you're left with 1,115. And then they divide that by 2, like they did before. So that's your countable income. And then when you subtract that from kind of the max benefit amount, this is what you get, 576. And that's, yeah, and that's, so it's a little bit more than what you got last time. I mean, I think if we go back, your SSI payment here is 576.23 with the other example, it's 526. So it's about $50 more. So yeah, I think the important thing to note is just kind of, I hope this it can be very confusing to figure out how Social Security kind of comes up with these income and your benefit amount, but I hope this kind of shows you how they do it. And I think the key point, like I was trying to say, is that when you're working and getting SSI, like 99% of the time, you're better off because you do get this additional income. And so you might ask, how much can you earn before the benefits stop? I think that's a good question. So there's the break-even amount. This is when your total income would make your benefit 0. So the short answer is for this year, based on the current rates, if you make $2,352.46 per month, that's kind of where your cash benefit would become 0, because you know how they subtract your income and they do all that math. That's when it goes to 0. So I'll show you how it works. So if we did right, we said 2,352.46. You subtract that $85, the 20 for the general income exclusion and the 65 for the earned income exclusion, you're left with 2,267.46. And then when you divide that by 2, you end up with 1,133.73. And that's the same as the kind of the base rate. And that's why your SSI payment would be 0. So this is kind of a number to look out for if your wages are kind of close to there. It might mean that you don't get your SSI check for that month if that's what you make in a month. But then what happens to your Medi-Cal? So let's say you break even. Does it go away? No, it doesn't. It doesn't go away automatically. There's something called Section 1619B, which says, kind of the short answer is your Medi-Cal coverage will continue even if your earnings or other income kind of be too high for an SSI cash payment, right? So you made so much that your cash benefit is 0, but your benefits do continue. There's certain requirements for this. You would have had to been eligible for an SSI cash payment for at least 1 month. So that just means you did get your SSI for at least 1 month prior to this. And that you're still kind of meet the disability requirement and kind of the non-disability SSI requirements. Those are things like you must live in the state of California, you must have sent in an application, things like that. That we didn't get too much into SSI eligibility, but that's just something to think about too. And you need these Medi-Cal benefits to continue to work. That's another requirement. And you have kind of earnings that are insufficient to replace SSI, Medi-Cal and publicly funded attendant care services. So that last point kind of is a little bit confusing. What that means is there's a threshold amount of money which kind of Social Security kind of came up with to see if your earnings are too high to replace your SSI and Medi-Cal benefits. So in 2023, that amount is it's right here, 57,251. That's per year. So if you make over that, that's when Social Security may say like, hey, your earnings are too high, and then you might not satisfy this requirement here. I see there's a question or a hand raised. I think we can take it, hopefully, if it's related to this. If not, we can hold it off till then.
Yeah, it's just a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you get to that zero limit,
Mhm.
you know, you earned more than 2352, do they then cut you off of SSI?
For that
And then
month,
you have to reapply?
let me see. You know, I feel like I should know that, but I will double check that for you and get back to you. I'll put my email.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just seems like, you know, most of these agencies are quick to want to cut people off and make them start from the beginning, and that just like it's impossible. So nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
All right.
And I think we'll touch on some ways to get back into getting your benefit in the next couple slides.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that. And I'll put my email in the chat later on too if we're not able to get it. We can talk later. So yeah, just some more information on kind of things to look out for too. There's something called a continuing disability review. So in general, Social Security will say they'll kind of take a look at your case every now and then to see if your medical condition has improved or if you're able to work over SGA. So this applies to both SSI and SSDI now. I think for our clients here and regional center clients, I think this is something to just focus on the last bullet, because if medical improvement is not expected, Social Security will review your case every 5 to 7 years, as opposed to kind of the 3 years for if they think you would improve medically. So yeah, so they do periodically check to see if you've gotten better, but I think for a person with a developmental disability, you can expect a longer time frame before they're kind of looking into your case. And here we are. So if your benefits, this is expedited reinstatement, kind of touching on the last question. So if your SSDI or SSI benefits end because you kind of worked over the limit, you can have your benefits started without having a new application. So this is kind of where I was kind of like, oh, wishy-washy on the answer, because there are certain requirements for this. And here is some of them. So if you had SSDI and your benefits were terminated because you were over SGA, that's one way, or one of the requirements. Or if you had SSI terminated because you made too much money. So that's kind of the situation we're at. And if you're unable to work SGA in this month you're applying, that's the second requirement. Third requirement is you're unable to work SGA because of a mental condition. And your fourth one is the impairment is the same as what made you eligible. You can request expedited reinstatement within, and you must make the request within 5 years. So if you fit all these categories, you can ask to be put back into, or your benefits be reinstated faster than having to do a reapplication, but you have to make that request within 5 years. I don't know if that covered everything, but yeah, so that's kind of a long but kind of brief overview of kind of what to look out for with benefits. Let me go ahead and I think we can go ahead and take questions. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the chat that I was referencing. I'll stop my screen now. And then let me just make sure I can see the chat, and then I will share kind of our contact information and anything else. So I see there's a lot in the chat. I'm finally able to see it now, but we can go ahead and start taking questions there.
Matt, we've had several questions, as you know. I do want to remind folks, just in the interest of privacy, I won't be asking you very personal questions. Matt's not here to answer and troubleshoot personal questions, and I just want to make sure that I uphold privacy. So
Yes,
those questions that came in privately to me that are specific to an individual, I will ask that you go ahead and speak with your service coordinator or email Matt directly.
Yes,
If that's
definitely.
okay.
Thank you. Yes.
The first question that we had is, can you have SSI, SSDI, and SSA? Because my parents retired with a disabled child before 22.
Yes, you can have all of that. I think is the short answer. It's called concurrent. Yeah.
Okay. And the follow-up question to that was, how do you know if you're getting the full benefits from SSDI?
So SSDI, it's Social Security kind of does their own calculation. It's there's a calculator on their website. I think they kind of take kind of your past work history and use that to kind of estimate how much your benefit amount would be. Let me see if I can find the calculator. But yeah. And I'm just putting a bunch of links in the chat, just so that you can kind of have more information.
And let me know when you're ready for the
Yeah.
next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the next question I received was regarding the subsidy from a job coach. Is there a way to build in the subsidy to monthly SSI wage reporting to reduce the total wages being reported?
Yeah, I think we did, or actually no, for subsidy, that is SSDI only. But if it's an IRWI, an impairment related work expense, that can be subtracted from SSI.
Okay. The next in chat is, if individuals get married, this was the answer to another question, I believe. It was, if individuals get married and both receive SSI, their benefit amount will change from an individual rate to a couple's rate. However, if both receive SSDI, their benefit amount will stay the same. Always report any changes to Social Security Administration ASAP to avoid interruptions and overpayments. So that was a comment. Next we have, is IHSS considered an unearned income for SSI?
Is it for the provider, for the client, or the recipient?
Mary, did you want to go ahead and activate your mic and ask your question?
Yeah, I think I understand. It's a client. The disabled person is a client, but IHSS is for someone else, so I guess doesn't count towards the client's income.
Yeah. So I think so it's it's seeing if whether or not the income from IHSS would count against the client's income, I guess.
Income. Yeah, like
even
though he doesn't earn it, the disabled child does not earn it, but he get this benefit from IHSS for use.
Okay. Yeah. So in general, the parent's income does it's what's called gets deemed to the client. So it means that that income does count as to the client's income amount. But let me just double check to see whether or not that would count. So in generally, no, it's IHS income to the parent is not counted towards the client. I'll put our publication in the chat too, so you can have a link to that. And I hope I'm putting the chat the right links. There's one, and then I think I see in the chat there is a question about my contact information. I will put that in the chat there too. Sorry. Yeah, Stephen, I can take the next question.
You know, Matt, I just noticed that the individual who asked the previous question had gotten bumped from the room and didn't get to hear your answer. Can I ask that question again?
Yeah.
The question was regarding the subsidy from a job coach. Is there a way to build in the subsidy to monthly SSI wage reporting to reduce total wages being reported?
Yeah, so the subsidy information or the reduction or whatever you want to call it, that would only count for SSDI, not for SSI.
Okay, thanks for re-answering that. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
The next question we have is, why does Social Security take away or take any money or stop my checks before I receive an overpayment notice?
Could you read that again, Stephen? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at it in the chat too.
Why does Social Security take any money or stop my checks before I receive an overpayment notice?
Why do they I don't know, maybe if the person wants to unmute and maybe give a little more
Lisa,
background.
did you want to go ahead and activate your mic and ask your question
Yeah.
directly?
Or maybe, Lisa, did you mean why doesn't Social Security take or stop the check before you get an overpayment? I mean, that would make sense to me.
Lisa has left the presentation.
Oh, okay.
My interpretation of this question is I think she probably had her check stop coming and not knowing why.
Yeah.
Because she hadn't received any notice and she wanted to know why. And I'd be interested to know the answer to this question.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer for them because to me it would make sense for them to calculate their own math and everything before taking away someone's benefit. I mean, it could also be to
clients deserve to know before anything.
Yeah, before you get caught with this like $10,000. Oh, we accidentally paid you too much, right? Yeah, we do see that a lot. I mean, sometimes even clients who are reporting their wages properly, we've had an instance where we had a client kind of reporting his wages like as he was paid, so multiple times per month, and then that was totally confusing Social Security. They're like, oh, you're not reporting your wages, so like here's this overpayment because everything is all messed up. So that's unfortunately that's kind of what what we see. But I agree, I think is what I'm trying to say.
The next question I have is for SSI and them calculating on what a person's share of cost is based on the amount of people in the home. Does the household budget get divided by just the adult or the children as well? Trying to get the max from SSI.
Okay. Based on yeah, sorry, I'm reading it in the chat for I think maybe we can talk more about your situation offline, Leilani, just to get, I think I need a little bit more details on what's going on. Because there's also something called in-kind support maintenance, another thing to bring up in Social Security, like if you're receiving assistance from getting food and shelter, that could reduce your benefit amount. So it might kind of, we might need to go into more detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to leave Leilani's questions for you to answer directly then, Matt.
Sure.
So the next, I'm not sure if this is a question or a statement. If you're over 18, developmentally disabled, conserved, receive SS, and live in a residential facility funded by a regional center, who takes control of the Social Security payments, and how do you transition the payments to another person or entity if it's required?
Yeah, so a couple things. So if you are in a residential facility, there is a different rate from SSI. So typically these clients would have a rep payee if they're not able to manage their own funds. So that's kind of who would be in charge. I think Westside can also be, I don't want to speak for Westside, but we know that for some clients in residential facilities that they have been rep payee. and kind of managing those funds, because yeah, it can be a lot. I hope that answers the question.
Matt, that was my question, and I was asking you in hopes to get an answer because I actually asked this question of Regional Center back in August, and I'm still waiting an answer. So, like, I'm afraid I'm going to end up in one of those situations with Social Security where they come back and say, "Oh, you owe us $10,000 in overpayments." You know?
Yeah.
No one can give me an answer.
Okay. Did you want to maybe we can talk more in a confidential setting, if you're willing to
I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Okay. I know we have only a minute, but I'm just trying to go through this. I think there's a question from Nelson about, do you need to meet all the requirements for EXR? That's yes. And then he had another question about, can OCRA support individuals with overpayment issues? Yes, we can. You can send them our way. That's actually it's historically been the bulk of the work we do certain months. So yes.
And another question is, what if work is provide health insurance, but the individual requires Medi-Cal in addition?
Just say that one more time.
I'm reading exactly as I see it.
Sorry.
So,
Okay.
That was me. I'm sorry. I was typing too fast. My question was regarding, so and you spoke briefly about Medi-Cal, and I might have missed it because I was also in and out between calls, so I apologize if you've already talked about it. But if the individual is working, they receive Medi-Cal, they receive, SSI, so, but they are covered through the health insurance through their job now, but they do require Medi-Cal. Can they still be covered even though they have health insurance through their job as well?
No, that's a good question. Would it be okay if I contact you after this and we can talk more?
Yeah, no, I've actually love to connect because I feel I came in kind of halfway and there's a lot of great info that I have questions about.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sorry I can't answer these all at once. I want to be respectful of the time, but let me just put my contact info again, in case anyone wants to email. I'm sorry if I'm not able to get to your question right now, but
I
please.
just want to say one to that question. When you have Medi-Cal and you have other insurance, Medi-Cal will balance it out. So whatever your insurance doesn't cover, Medi-Cal will pick it up. So you don't actually lose Medi-Cal when you have private insurance. If you have both and they can work together, then you can keep it. So they kind of let one balance out the other. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, so I hope my links are being uploaded properly. I do have my email and there's a survey link if people want to do that. But please feel free to send me an email. You'll have a copy of the slides too with our phone number and office email as well. So it's okay if you miss it. But yeah, I just want to say thank you all for being here. I hope the information was helpful. It can be a lot, but I appreciate it.
The slide.
Kate, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, guys. Great presentation.
Thank you, Matt, for the great presentation.
Thank you.
Wonderful information is very helpful. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. Hope you found this information helpful. And if any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
you.